Roman was born in Poland, I'll just say in the 1950s. And he immigrated to the United States in 1982. And didn't you land somewhere cold? Was it like Minnesota or somewhere?
Madison, Wisconsin.
Madison, Wisconsin. And you said the minute you could come to California, you settled in California.
After first winter.
Madison, Wisconsin. And then he fell in love with the imagery that we're about to see in a slideshow tonight, and also we have a very fun video that KQED did, their Spark video, in which they honor special artists from the Bay Area. You have to have international repute to be in one of their Spark videos, but we have a nice 4-minute excerpt of him in a canoe in a flood with his view camera. So you'll see his love for the Central Valley, and he's photographed extensively in California, as well as cities and countrysides and historic structures throughout Europe and Asia. Some of his most famous and magnificent prints are taken in churches and synagogues in Poland and Lithuania. Several minute exposures in freezing cold conditions.
Yes.
Tell us a story about when you got locked in a church. See if you can get around to that.
Yeah, I get the title of King of Photography of China.
That's right. That's right.
I have a paper proof.
We have a framed commendation from China declaring him the king of photography. So, I think we'll bring that out tonight.
I asked the Minister of Culture of China what's coming with the title, and he didn't understand. I said, like, land or it's not land. I said, nothing. Just a piece of paper.
Excellent. Well, I
think
I will just stop there and remind you that his photographs are in major collections around the world, China, other parts of Asia, the George Eastman House in Rochester, New York, and many other prestigious institutions. But I think what I really want to say is Zduma Trezdzian Roman Loranc.
I don't know if it was Polish or Russian.
Say, allow me to introduce Roman Loranc.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, everybody, for coming here. I'm not the great speaker.
My
media is photography.
Thank you.
And I didn't agree to speak here tonight, but I was forced by Brian.
Maybe a bottle of wine.
We keep it short, and I prefer maybe questions than me speaking for a long time. But thank you for coming, and thank you also for all people who collect my work here. I have quite a bit collection of people who do appreciate my work and allows me to continue doing my work. I really appreciate that, and thank you very much for that. I'm also honored being in this building because it has a history and connection to Group F64, which started by Ansel, Edward, Imogen Cunningham, Sonia Noskowiak, and later Dorothea Loranc. So it is for me like place of born on photography for me. So it's very honored to be here. Already I'm lost. So we do a little presentation on, I start my work in Central Valley, photographing wetlands and disappearing landscape of Central Valley. And my first book was Too Hard to Dog, which was published by Hayde Books. It was very successful and allowed me to continue doing my work. Through Central Valley, I photographed almost all farming and wetland. And then, fortunately, I developed valley fever. I had to move from Central Valley. And I'm living now in Mount Shasta and continue photographing in that area down there. For me, photography is like form of meditation. When I go photograph, time don't exist. You know, sometimes I go to my dark room and I come out and it's like 3 o'clock in the morning and I don't realize where the time goes. So it's endless passion. Maybe we'll show the little video of
Yes.
before so people can see instead of describe what I do.
This is fantastic.
Yeah.
I think we'll just look at 4 minutes of Roman in a canoe.
This is the lower Cosumnes River in California's Central Valley. Every winter, the river floods acres and acres of grassland, fields, and forest. The Cosumnes is the last undammed river flowing from the Sierra to the Delta. This is what California must have looked like 2 centuries ago. For the last 2 decades, the Nature Conservancy has been restoring the floodplain and riparian forest of the lower Cosumnes. For almost as long, Roman Loranc has been photographing here. His work captures the mystery and beauty of the winter floods.
For me, it creates a very unusual landscape to photograph because all the time is different. You come here and every day will be different. You don't know what to expect. Sunlight wind can be an advantage, but most of it with view camera wind is not very welcome because the exposure is usually longer than normal.
Roman is a Polish immigrant. His commitment as a photographer to the Cosumnes River is akin to Ansel Adams' relationship to Yosemite, or Edward Weston's love of Point Lobos. He is a passionate conservationist.
The simple reason would be to kind of inspire, through my photograph, other people to come and see it and preserve and restore. And most people don't even know about the existence of preserve. There we go! I'm always drawn to water, and I don't know why, but I think so it has something to do with how important a role water plays in Central Valley, and we are so greedy and thirsty, you know, that we take all the water for agriculture and for domestic use, and almost don't think that we have to share with wildlife, you know. And for me, I'm triggered by nature, and I feel the response. And there's something in the water where it will help with my photography. And the changing of the water gives you the always fresh perspective, you know. So always something new. So, and sometimes you can see that in my photograph, and it has nothing to do with me. It's just the place, you know. I get rewarded for that. I don't know if I deserve it. But capturing that is always not easy. You know, you have to be at the right time.
Roman is a patient photographer. Most of his images here are taken right before dawn. There is a moment when the light is just beginning to illuminate the land, and the water becomes still. This is when he works. The sun is bright and hot in the Central Valley. It will start to heat the air and create a breeze very quickly, destroying the glass-like reflections.
The last time when I photographed on another area, I was so involved in my photograph that my canoe floated away. And I got stranded. And instead of chasing the canoe, I went and did the photograph of the canoe and I had a phantom canoe.
Roman photographs throughout the Central Valley. Farms, vineyards, roads, all beneath a majestic sky. His work is developing an international reputation and demanding significant prices in galleries.
First, I didn't see the value of the place because I didn't know nothing about it. And I like to be rooted in a place. I can't change places, you know. So for me, my identity is with the land and knowing where I am, where I live. Give me stability and kind of security. You know, I have to belong to place, and so Central Valley became. And now, even if I could move from here, just thinking about it made me uneasy. So I'm probably stuck here.
And Reverend Roman, we have the publisher here tonight who could say a few words about your new book coming out on Tuesday.
Bob Reed helping me with the book.
I'm not really I've been helping Roman put this book together for the last 2.5 years with Anthony Bannon. He was the director at George Eastman House for 16 years. And he actually wrote the essay for Absolution, this book here, that was put out by Photography West.
To talk louder.
Can you hear me this loud? Okay. Anthony Bannon did the essay for Absolution back in 2015, and when he saw Roman's work of the Tules, he decided that it would be a good idea for Roman to follow up with a book that was specifically about water grasses and tules and reeds. And so this book is a result of those musings that we had several years ago, and is going to be released this spring. It's showcase printing. There are only 300 copies that are going to be printed and released. There will be a sign-up at the gallery. Look for this little display and put your name down if you're interested in being contacted. It will be a very exclusive edition, and Roman is going to hand print a book and print set to go together. So look for this in the gallery.
There's a few slides from the book.
We have about 30 images from your new book. And Roman, were these all taken in California, or?
No, the China, Poland, Europe, San Luis, Laro in California, San Luis National Refuge, Nature Conservancy, preserving the Gulf. Usually I do when I don't have a good lighting, I kind of come down and sometimes I see a small reflection and I took a photograph. And I just kind of sit on them for almost 20 years, and then some idea come and start printing them. People became very interesting on some of the images, and then eventually comes some idea. But it's almost over 20 years, all different country and different places.
Amazing how tules have become an international subject matter for you. You find them in all different countries.
Sometimes the reflection is so unusual that people don't believe it is real. There's such a hard to explain how the reflection happened, because you could not define where is the horizon or water, or where is the break in it. So it's kind of very mysterious. Some of them I am surprised too. And some of them is a long exposure to so change, or wind, or snow. This is where I live, you know, this is, Mount Shasta. And this beautiful harsh mountains and then soft tule combined. Yeah, this is a Thule raft. Actually, this is one of the first photographs I did in a Christmas day about 15 years ago, or maybe, don't remember exactly. And I was in San Luis Refuge, and it was kind of cold, you know, foggy, winter day. And I didn't have proper lens, so I had to walk in the wetland, which was freezing cold and muddy. You know, the water is muddy, so I walk with my camera closer, stand in the water, I had to wait so the ripple come down, and took the photograph. Could all my clothes, everything mud, you know, and I never know they come out and called this like Thule raft. And became a very popular image, you know. People respond so much, you know, almost sold 250 copies of this image. So that was kind of beginning of, it's not easy as a look. It takes a lot of patience and time to get, or kind of narrow down the subject, which is interesting. But there have a lot of meditative quality, you know, and peacefulness and kind of calm. This is in China, one of the lake. After heavy drinking of Chinese sake.
What's it like, Roman, to develop your 4x5 negative and see this? You know, some of these must be so exciting.
It is. It's a very difficult process because you have to get very close. So most of the time I had to work in the water, 4x5 camera. It's very difficult with film and everything. It's a risky procedure, and then sometimes the subject, I have to trim my negative. I usually try to shoot full sheets because, you know, it's the advantage of using 4x5. But most truly, I have to trim my negative because there is some excess of the image, which is not interesting. So it's challenging, but it's playful because sometimes I print the print and then I trim the print and play with it, you know, so cut some other forms. So some of these images are a lot bigger, but I just trimmed them. So they never can be printed large. So some of them only can be printed because of the 8x10. So sometimes I do, you know, my own cropping later, but I try not to do that in normal photography, but in this case, sometimes it's required. So Thule, here in this is in California, was very important for Native American. They used for building boats, homes. It was very used and very practical method. They even crossed the Bay Area on the Thule boat. Actually, one of my friend Malcolm Martin repeat that, and they built the Thule boat, and they sink in the middle. The Coast Guard had to save them. They didn't have a good skill to build that boat. In Europe, a lot of this are harvested and used for the roof. And it costs fortune to build it, but the roof from Thule could last to 50, 60 years, and have incredible durability and preventing from heat and cold. There's almost like 16 species of Thule. It's one of the oldest plants on the earth. So this is also other interesting part. So I was 7 and I received for first communion camera Polish Drew, which after first roll of film broke down. There's the communist good product. So I was so disappointed, and also it was very difficult to develop a film because a lot of restriction in communist country. They don't want you to be photographing with whatever is not your business. So most of it was for privileged people. And so I had to develop all my negative by myself from the book. And I was try to get a good camera. So I made a trip to Russia. And I went to the store, and there was a kind of TTL, like an old style Nikon, but it was a copy, Russian copy, illegal, and making on a different name. And I want to buy it. It was like almost 1 year solar, the camera. And so I said, no, I don't have that many ruble. And the guy looked at me, and I was wearing American jeans, Levi's, and he said, but I will take for the jeans. I said, okay. I said, where I should to do it. So I went behind the store and took my pants. To him, and I said, do you have some extra pants? But they're all small, so they give me like polyester pants with like better a whole week in Russia. I spent walking with this polyester pants short. People almost want to give me money. I was like homeless. But I was happy I have my camera. Good story.
How old were you?
When I started, I was 7. When I was to Russia, I was 11.
Oh.
Yeah. Yes.
Have you heard the amazing stories about Mount Shasta, where you live now? The
Yes.
strange stories?
Yes. I didn't know. I only know it. It was beautiful. But when I come, I don't have a neighbor, but I have some couple have mile maybe neighbor who moved in it, and I asked her, well, why are you moving here? She was from New York, and she said, because the alien, the Lemurian. So half of the Mount Shasta people like slightly crazy. But so I fit perfectly there.
You were clearly in love with the Central Valley, and you thought you'd be stuck there, but you weren't. What do you like about the Mount Shasta area, and how did you choose that as a place to move?
Me and my son Chris, which is here. It's Chris, yeah. We used to go fly fishing Mount Shasta area a lot, and so when I was thinking moving, I said that would be the best place to move. And when I moved down there, I never fish. So that's what will kill you when you can go every day. You never do it. I'm so much absorbed in photography that almost I have no time for anything else. So that's the truth.
Brian said something about you were going to maybe talk about a church.
Oh yes. So I went to Lithuania. I try when I go photograph. I try learn a little bit history, spend time, not like just go weekend photography or something. Trip 1 week. I went down there for 6 months. So I find one of the churches, and the priest give me key to the church. I don't know why. Maybe because I still wear like long hair and beard. I look like Jesus. Here in California, I was more like hippie, but over there. So he gave me key to the church. I was, oh my God. So I went and tried study the lighting, because the Franciscan church, when they built the church, they all was oriented to the light, so like the mass in the morning, lights coming straight on the priest through the window. So they all know an exactly time of the year, sun hitting in the altar or other areas. So I want to study that when the light's perfectly coming to the church, so I can photograph that time. So I spent a lot of time down there to study the light in the church. So church wasn't open because in a mile square in Vilnius is 100 churches. So when the mass happened, only 2-3 people is in the church, and it happened maybe once a week because there's so many churches that nobody comes to this one. I like it because it was very stripped from all the gold and the extra stuff, which I don't like. So it was beautiful because it was bare. And the architecture you can see, and the beautiful lighting. So going down there often, and one day I come down there and somebody accidentally, they have a huge door, very heavy, hard to open, and they have sliding kind of block the door. And somebody slided back, I don't know why, deliberately or just thought church should be locked, so they slide it back. So I try to get out from the church and I can't open the door. And then I have the key. And I was thinking, well, it's no big deal, somebody will come and eventually open, and it's like 0 degrees in the church. After 2 hours, I'm getting cold. I start smoking cigarettes inside the church. I forgot my vodka, so I was in trouble. And I thought it would be not appropriate drinking in the church, So first there was structure, to remodeling the wall, so I climbed. It's like maybe 3-story building, and try open the window, and I was thinking, yelling for the help. I thought it would be kind of ridiculous, how I explain myself. I am inside this church, I don't speak Lithuanian very well. I thought maybe I'll leave it that, so I exploring, opened the basement, which was full of like monk skulls. It was so creepy, but kind of exciting. I tried first photograph that, but it was not enough lighting. So I spending like 4 hours, and I actually start getting hyperthermia. I'm just shaking. So I figured I would grab some wires and try slightly moving the wood, who blocked the door. And after 20 minutes, I moved it and left, but it was closed. So I think so that God sent me some message. So I tried donate money to the church, sale of my photograph, and the priest said, no, we want your photograph, we don't want your money. I said, okay. So that's how it works. Good.
So you're in Poland in the 60s and 70s, and correct?
Yes.
And you're looking at what kinds of photography and who and where?
Well, we were very much cut off from Western world. So of course, everybody heard about Ansel Adams, but that's about it. So we didn't have but there was a lot of Polish photographer like Roman Wiśniak, the same name. He photographed the Jewish ghetto in Poland before the war. And so he was quite a bit impressive. And also Bullock, Polish photographer, not known here, but has a good quality as Ansel Adams, only he did architecture. So I was familiar with that work. And most of it painters, Polish painters, very dramatic kind of landscape. So I was influenced by that. But to learn about Weston and Ansel and Emerson Cunningham, Bullock, and Morley Bear come here in California.
When you go out in your canoe, wherever you are, how many filmbacks do you take with you? I mean, you've got your camera, and then what do you look at?
Yeah, it weighed about 50 to 60 pounds.
So how many at a time?
Well, you have assistants who carry your own stuff. No, I never allowed. I carry everything by myself. So lately I was in Hawaii and running to Wapia Bay down. I don't know if you guys know, it's a very steep area. Most of the 4-wheel go there. and I was running and damaged my knee because like 60 pounds of the gear carry. So it's quite bad work. And travel with all that today, you know, people look at you like you're some kind of terrorist, checking your film X-ray. It's a very challenging thing to do. Yeah.
But I mean, prepare for it when you, like I said, you go out in the field and you're.
Yeah, well, you're risking, you know, and I lost some lenses to water and filter, but nothing else, you know. That's what it is, you know, you have to do it, something exciting and risking, otherwise you have no photograph. If you lose your camera, you buy another one.
Is the Thule a seasonal phenomenon? Is that a flooded wetland and it dries up, evaporates later, or are they temporary?
Yeah, they almost grow everywhere where there's water, you know, like permanent water. But yeah, they die usually for winter, and then so they cut them, but now they like, you know, decompose or whatever, die. But yeah, most of it they grow in very unusual situation. They even I see them by ocean, by rivers, almost everywhere. You know, they're very durable plants.
You said that they were used to make boats, so they're very sturdy, and are they hollow or?
Yeah, they hollow inside, so I think so they dry them and then compress, you know, tie them, so they also sleep on them to make the mattresses, and then it's very simple, you just burn them down and build a new one, so no diseases, anything, you know, it's very, no washing machine, so. It was very, very practical. Yeah, there used to be, they built such a big boat. There's a book which my friend Malcolm Morgan printed, Indian Summer, by historian, kind of amateur historian, who wrote about the white boy who was left with Indian in Central Valley. And he traveled on the Thule boat. They were so big they make fire and cooking and fishing on that boat, and he made a couple trips from Sacramento to Los Banos to Thule Lake, which was all water cover, and now it's nothing but agricultural land. So yeah, so they make these huge trips on that. It's a wonderful book.
What's it titled?
Indian Summer, printed by Heyday Books in Berkeley.
Oh, so it wasn't there a tribe in Iraq or Iran that all of the marsh people there, when Saddam Hussein tried to, I don't know, destroy their area, but they had everything, the boats.
They lived from it,
and
yeah.
their houses and everything from the Tules.
Yeah, people used to know how to survive. Today, you know, we're not. If the electricity turned off, we're done.
Most of your work you do in a series, have you always done a series of photographs or books?
Yeah, I never liked be serious, but now I see the value in it. You know, when you have a lot of photographs on the same subject, it's kind of cohesive and give a message. And I always thought one photograph should tell everything, and I tried this one photograph only, and it kind of don't work. I mean, I have a lot of stunning photographs, they're very popular. So now I try go back to my work and bring like cohesive work, because I have tons of photographs of churches, but I only choose like 2, 3, you know. I have over 10,000 negatives, so I never print. So now I kind of keep going back to them and try build it as in, like maybe next project will be only churches or only tree or something like that. You know.
One more quick question.
Yeah.
How did you decide to go to large format? I mean, was it, you know, kind of you discovered Ansel Adams and said that's the way I need to do it? Or?
No, I did the large format already in Poland. Actually, I was just showing, I still have a glass negative. I used to make when I was 8 years old. So it's like close to 4x5, yeah, only on the glass. So yeah, I was using already kind of 4x5, but there was no film for it. So you could get 35 millimeter, but you can't get 4x5 negative in any communist country. Yeah. So no, I was always to that format. Yeah. I love that size of the format. You know, sometimes I like play with with my iPhone, but it's never serious. It's just fun. But yeah, there's something in that square image. It's so wonderful.
Roman, can you talk about the composition of your photographs and how you approach it? I think there's some commonality to your photographs, that there's a certain geometry and randomness, both.
So the fun is, when I see something, I just come put the camera, and that's it. I'm not even aware of the process. And from the beginning, I remember it was a little bit difficult. I had to sometimes move, walk backwards or forward, like we all do, or bending, doing something unusual. But now I just set the camera, and that's the spot. So it's kind of come natural. Yeah, I'm almost unaware of composition sometimes. Yeah. I'm surprised because in view camera everything is reverse, and so you look at upside down and reverse image. So when I compose and I see the same way, I'm not even aware there's opposite, than real world. And sometimes the composition is stronger. So sometimes I flip my negatives and enlarge it and print opposite way. And it's stronger, so I do a little cheating sometimes.
Roman?
Yes?
Can you talk to us about your reason to stick with traditional silver-based printing and film?
Yes, I have nothing against digital photography, but I love the smell of fixer and dip my hands in chemicals. Even my wife thinks it's horrible, and she always come and turn the fan on. I never liked the fan in my dark room. I like the smell of this poison chemical. And Ansel did his autopsy, and they didn't find anything. And he did this. So if Ansel did, why not me? Yeah. I have a hard time with digital for one reason only, that everything happened like JPEGs on the computer, or selling JPEGs, viewing JPEGs. It's kind of insane. I want to see print. I want to see print on the wall. I want to see them in real printing. Today it's all on the computer, all on the phone. That's kind of a little bit discouraging. So there's a place to look at them that meditate, see on the wall, and see the proper way. Digital is too fast. To everything is on the computer. Rarely you see, but there is some beautiful work with digital photography. And I'm sure if Ansel will be live, he will be start using digital camera. So maybe someday I'll do that. I actually bought one, but I rarely use it.
This is an opportunity, Roman, to tell a fun, I don't want to call it a joke, I think it's a lot of wisdom. Your dear friend Huntington Witherell is here, who was one of the great darkroom printers of the West Coast, but he made the transition to digital, and I used to kid him and say, darkroom is still better because I love the smell of fixer, and so Hunter very wisely said, get your workstation set up and bring out a tray of fixer. And I said, but, I love rocking the trays. He goes, get a tray and you can rock it. And there's a lot of truth to that.
And I'm sad because his silver print was beautiful. But so is his new work. I saw it, it's beautiful. Digital photography is getting so well that if it's printed done well, And today in modern world, it don't matter. The boundary between painting, photography, digital, film, it's completely blurry and non-existent. So, and the most expensive photograph ever sold is digital photographs. So, what do we know? Okay, any more questions?
I have a question. Have you been or plan to in Louisiana where there is this area that is going underwater? It just seems to call your name. Have you been down there? Have you been attracted to that area? Because people are like losing their homes because the water keeps coming.
I only like California. No, actually, I've been in South with my son actually a couple of times, and I took some photographs, and it's beautiful. But you know, you have to concentrate on something. And I love to work where I live, you know, and know the place. Thank you. Any more?
Before Shasta, where did you live in California?
Pardon me?
Where did you live in California before Shasta?
Before? First, I actually have to admit, I lived in San Francisco and Burlingame, and I moved to Modesto and then to Mount Shasta.
Roman, there's one over here.
Roman, I was wondering if you knew or aware of sudden oak death and oak trees that are dying.
Yes,
locally.
yes, it's very sad. Yeah.
Your photography and that combination, I think, and letting people maybe be more aware of what's going on and how fast it is actually, you know, going in front of them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's a very disturbing, you know, and not only oaks but other trees too have diseases and they're dying, and then even burning them, they don't know how to stop the disease, so that it's very devastating. And especially like oaks. I live in an area where it's just most of it juniper, and they're very tough tree, and nothing happened to them. I start cutting them because there are too many of them and planting oaks. They struggle. One oak already, I planted about 5 times and die. But some survive. So it's always the idea, if you see something, then maybe you just can, if 5 trees die, you plant new one, you know, and get involved with some organization places, you know. You can always see what's native into your area and put in your yard instead of some grass, green grass, you know, put some good tree or something in it. Yeah.
Roman, is there any other trees that fascinate you like you? That you like to photograph?
My favorite is the valley oaks. Yeah, only endemic to Central Valley. They don't grow anywhere else. So it's kind of mysterious and also beautiful. And they're the biggest, and they have the biggest acorn too. They're like huge. And the Indian used to love them. They make the bread from the acorn. So it's kind of very important too. Also, what's the oaks are interesting. The wasps put the eggs in the leaves of the oak and create gold. And then when they dry and drop, Chinese people make the stain the material. And from beginning, I used pyro for developing my negatives. And from beginning, when they didn't know the chemical solution for that, they used the gold for my developer. So it was funny, coincident, I photographed something which developer comes from the tree. So it's interesting, yeah. Could you speak a little to I can't speak anymore.
The process of creating, the satisfaction you get as you do it versus finishing up with silver gel print on the wall. You've talked about the gallic acid and enjoying the smell of fixtures.
Yeah. I spent a long time with my negatives, looking them first as a negative, you know, eliminate, which, you know, I am not much favorite, and I may be wrong, so they may be somewhere there, and sometimes, you know, my wife comes, oh, what a beautiful, sometimes I do proof, I used to do proof every negative, now I don't, and my wife finds some print and say, oh, what is beautiful? So I scan, put them on the Facebook. People want to buy, and I can't find the negative because I never save it. So now, somewhere went down between 10,000 negatives somewhere there. So I can't. I have no time to find it. But what I do, I usually print the print, like simple 8x10 print. Put them in darkroom and look at that for hour or something, figure out, print different version of it, dry it, and leave it in my darkroom for a week before I decide what to do with it. So it's a kind of long meditative process, When you do so much work like I do, you don't want to release print who are like similar to other prints. You want to bring something new, which is the more I do, it's more difficult to produce good images. It's very difficult to produce them. And technical aspect is, I think so, is the least. It's your own vision. I think so that the bigger enemy of photographers, it's photographer who release bad prints. You have to be very critical to your own work, which is very difficult to do that.
Beautiful. On that wonderful advice, Roman, I want to say how wonderful that was, and people want to speak with you individually upstairs, and we'll have vino and food, and most importantly, let's look at your original prints. But I'm going to give you the last word, so I want you to translate, and I'm talking to everybody. A teraz napiszmy zi.
Well, let's go drink now. Thank you for coming.